We are here in South Carolina near Greenville. I don't know exactly where we are. I'll probably put it right down here in the screen where we're at. But today, me and Konnor have been testing the 2024 YZ450FX. And it's been a little slick today. I'm gonna be rolling in a bunch of shots. We actually got invited out by Yamaha to their introduction press ride for this 2024 YZ450FX. It's essentially an all-new bike because you've got all the motocross changes that happened in 2023 to the motocross bike. So the 2023 YZ450F was essentially an entirely new bike. Most of the stuff on the bike changed, the motor changed, so many of the things changed. In fact, one of the things they told us is that about 98% of the parts are changed. Now, I don't honestly, we're probably not changing brakes and things like that, but so much of the bike changed. Frame changed, motor changes, all kinds of changes. And I can tell you right now, having ridden the last year's version of this bike, I gave it away as a sweepstakes bike last March. This bike is a lot more slim and a lot more nimble. Now, it was a handful, and I'm gonna ask Konnor today because this was Konnor's first time riding a 450. It's pretty wet. There was a lot of rain here the last few days, and so it's been kind of soupy and kind of wet for the first part of the day. It's starting to dry up a little bit. But the bike actually feels the most nimble of any of the Yamahas that I've ever had. I've had a number of different YZ450s, Fs and the FXs, and this bike definitely feels the most nimble and the lightest of those bikes. Now, most of the day I ran on the softer map. So one of the things I love about the Yamahas, probably the very most, is the Power Tuner app and the amount of adjustability that you have with these things. And now in 2024, they've even simplified that a little bit more. So when you're using the app, you don't have to go into the power map and do all the different things. You've got a little slider that you can use. Hopefully I'll be able to show some of that footage to you. I didn't get to play with that today as we were riding. We were really focusing on getting some shots and just kind of seeing what the bike was like. So I ran in the hotter map, map 1, and then most of the day, because it was so slick, I was running in map 2, which is with the light on the bike. But yeah, I'm excited to ride it a little bit more as well, but this bike is the lightest feeling Yamaha, at least 450, that I've ever ridden. And its little brother, the YZ250FX, I can't wait till next year, because I think in 2025, the 250FX will get all the same changes that will trickle down from its big brother here, the 450. And that's more of a sweet spot for me, especially in the tighter woods and stuff that we have here. This was a lot of bike for me. And we were over on a motocross track, and we did a little bit of a grass track stuff, and it was fun, but this is a lot of machine for that. But Konnor, I'm gonna put Konnor on the spot. We have not talked about this yet. Today was Konnor's very first time on a 450. Literally, I'm like, hey, see that trail, or go through those ribbons. And he swung a leg over the bike, very first time on anything other than like a 250F, and you rode it. What did you think, Konnor?
Well, it's got a lot of power. I tried not to give it too much throttle because it's a lot of power and it's so slick. If you get any gas, you'll just slide out. And yeah, and on the motocross track, it's really weird because I'm used to being able to just kind of go around on the track, just kind of it's more light and nimble. I can just steer it better. But this thing is just, I don't know, it's hard to get used to.
Yeah, it's his first time on it. He did really good. We ended up there was a couple jumps and stuff that had dried out a bit where we were hitting the jumps and going through a whoop section and things. But it was really tricky. And there were some spots there where you would try to get on the gas to maybe get over like a rut or something, and you'd kind of spin out. And you got stuck a couple times. He called me one time, he's like, Dad, I'm kind of stuck. Because and one time you had your front tire completely sucked down in the mud. Yeah. So there is so much mud on this bike. There's probably 30 pounds of mud on it right now. And at one point, I think we had about 60 pounds of mud that was on it, and then we just kind of flipped that off. But this bike, for me, I would love this bike out in the desert where I can really, where it can be opened up a little bit more. In this area, and we didn't actually ride in this wooded area like where we're shooting this video right now. We'll be rolling in all the footage of like some drone footage and different footage of us where we rode this bike earlier today. But it's still, this is gonna be great on a track. It's gonna be great in the wide open desert. And if you're a vet or a person who's a little bit older or just wants to not have to shift as much, that's one of the places where this bike is really going to shine. Because they've got this thing where you can pretty much stay in second gear and third gear. And if it's not too technical, I think you're going to be okay to do that. Still is running the Nissan brakes. I love the wheels on this thing. These have these blue anodized wheels, as we'll be rolling in some shots of that. So the bike looks really, really good. A couple of things that I love about the Yamahas, like this one now, they've become much more slim right here in the area in between your legs, and then the shrouds up here. Previously, and a lot of you guys have known, like the bike was really, really wide, especially on the shrouds. But now the bike is a lot slimmer. I believe it has a 2.1 gallon fuel tank, which is about a half gallon more than what the motocross bike uses. So it gives you some good range. And then because it's fuel injected, it's hardly, you know, you're not losing a bunch of fuel. Some of you guys that are running the carbureted 2-stroke should be like, well, 2.1 gallons isn't a lot. Well, this bike isn't dumping it out, and so it's a little bit more efficient that way. That's one of the reasons why carbureted bikes don't go as far, is because they're like, a lot of times they're losing gas out of the overflow. This is not going to have that problem. So you do come with the map switch up here. It's interesting because when the light is on, hopefully I can show you some clips of this. When the light is on, you're in map 2. When the light is off, you're on map 1. Typically speaking, map 2 is going to be your softer map unless you program that differently through the Yamaha Power Tuner app, which you've got some adjustability there. You're still running the cable clutch on these bikes, although Yamaha does have a power part option, a GYTR option to go to the hydraulic clutch. They're still saying like, hey, we're not saying that hydro is better than the steel cable clutch, but their power part, which is more expensive, which is technically the quote upgrade, it is a hydro clutch. So you be the judge of that. But it still is an easier, it's not a super difficult clutch pull. If I was riding something technical, well, first off, if I was riding something super technical, I wouldn't want to be on this bike, but the clutch isn't that bad. You also have one of the things I love about the Yamahas is you have 2 places to mount your bars. I actually had the bars moved forward a little bit, and then I try to get them centered over my forks, and that's what we did before we rode. Set the sag, they set it to 105 millimeters, and then we just went. This bike is pretty cool. If I had more time to play with it, what I would do is I would give an even softer map than what we had here for today. And I know that you can do that with the Yamahas. It's probably, like I said before, one of my favorite things, because on the Hondas, on the Kawasaki's, on the KTM's, you just have a couple of maps and it's really not that much of a difference. Whereas on the Yamaha, you get to really dictate how much power this has. I know that on the newer KTM 450s, they're also allowing you to do that. I haven't been able to test them, but I will say that in the past, the Yamahas have had the most amount of adjustability. They typically have had the most amount of power anyway, but on a 450 like this, I'm trying to draw the power back, and I want to be able to get into a mode where it's just not going to eat me for breakfast. And that's one of the problems that I've had with the 450s in the past, is it's typically too much bike for the places that I ride, unless I'm out at like Green River or some of these like really open sand dune places. Then yeah, you can kind of open up a 450, but most of the places I ride, you cannot get more than about even half throttle on a bike like this. It will lift the wheel in any gear. I saw that everywhere we went. It tracks really straight through whooped out areas and things like that. But overall, I've been very impressed with it. It is the lightest feeling, most agile YZ450 I've ever been on, and so I know that they're making some improvements there. Is it any wonder why last year Eli Tomac did so well on this bike before he got his Achilles injury? Because these Yamahas are absolutely amazing, and then those motocross changes trickle down to the off-road bikes the following year. And so that's what you're looking at here, basically an all-new bike. If you had the motocross version, you kind of understand what this is, although you're getting a different transmission here. If I recall right, it's still a 5-speed transmission, but it's a wider ratio. Double check me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what's going on here with this particular bike. So lots of cool stuff with it. You know, obviously you've got the 18-inch rear wheel, you've got the kickstand, you've got the off-road tires, you have a mud guard here. I wouldn't really call this a skid plate. I'd call it a mud guard on the front of the bike there. So if I was gonna ride this off-road, I would want to put an actual skid plate on it that covered the entire bottom half of the bike and the linkage. They also come with an accessory, well, not come with, there's a fan, a radiator fan that is an optional accessory on this that plugs right into the bike. It's got power there and it plugs into the ECU, so it'll be controlled by the ECU. If you were gonna ride this off-road and any of the slower type stuff, I think you should probably have a radiator fan on it. So, I mean, that's kind of the deal. It's got the KYB forks that a lot of people love. The valving is good. It's softened a little bit. I would want it just a little bit softer. I'm not as fast of a rider, but that's typical of all these bikes. I think they valve them just a little bit stiff because they're trying to valve for a wide variety of riders. So tomorrow we're going to be riding the two strokes. We're going to ride the YZ450FX and the YZ125X, and me and Konnor are really excited about that. That's what he's going to be feel a lot more comfortable on. So tomorrow, when you ride the 125, what do you expect are going to be the differences compared to today?
Well, I expect it to be more fun, first off, because I've never ridden a 450, and I've not really even ever ridden a four-stroke, like a race bike four-stroke. So I'm expecting it to be obviously a lot lighter, less powerful, but I feel like you'll be able to like ring it out more and have a better time. Yeah.
It should be pretty awesome. But wanted to thank Yamaha for bringing us out here. That was super nice. They invited me and a cameraman, so I brought Konnor, and he's been taking the week off school here to come out and do this. So I wanted to thank him for helping me out with the cameras and stuff. And it's been a good learning experience for both of us. But these bikes are pretty cool. Again, I don't own this bike. This is Yamaha's bike. But I do say what I think about these things. And if you're in the market for a 450, and you want a bike that can do it all, I mean, these are the best ones for me. Now, I don't have to say that. Yamaha's not paying me to say that. I can say whatever I want. But what I'm saying is, if I was going to get a 450 desert bike, the reason why I'm getting one of these things is now this is a very nimble, like narrow feeling chassis, but it also has the adjustability that I haven't been aware of in the other bikes. So these are, as far as being able to tune that power the way that you want it. So anyway, that's what we've got for you. If you want to support these videos, one of the best ways you can do it is to use the links for Rocky Mountain ATV. It's down in the video description, and it's over on dirtbikechannel.com. You click up on the, there's a menu item that says Shop Rocky Mountain ATV. When you click on that link, you can buy anything they sell, and that really, really helps us out to keep all the bike reviews coming and any of this stuff. Rocky Mountain ATV, shop with those guys. They cannot be beat. So click on that link, and that would support what we're doing here. So thanks so much, and until next time, leave a single track. Thanks.